It's official, Marvel's The Eternals looks like another amazing adventure in the MCU. If pop culture has taught us anything about immortality though, it's that living forever isn't all it's cracked up to be. Outliving all your loved ones, living through the worst moments in history, and dealing with the sheer weight of eternity are all strings attached to the seemingly sweet deal you get with eternal life. So let's look back through the best immortal heroes and villains and see how they handled endless existence. The man who put the super in superhero was also destined to live forever, if one of his villains doesn't get to him first. We've seen multiple versions of Superman's future that deal with things like his disappointing children, Jupiter's Legacy style, and the tragic end of his life due to interference from Lex Luthor. The one story that truly invests in answering the heavy questions about Superman's eternal status is the DC 1 Million event by Grant Morrison. This story, set in the 853rd century, shows us a version of Kal-El from the far, far, far future. This golden Superman, called Superman 1 Million, is the most powerful version of the character ever depicted in comics. He now has limitless power, which essentially makes him more of a god than a superhero. So what exactly did he do with this time? Well, after outliving everyone he loved and setting up a legacy of Supermen to continue his work, Superman 1 Million retreated into the sun where he became something of a myth. That is, until the galaxy needed his help once more. As famous as Thor is for his time with the Avengers, this is only a small part of his long life. Over the centuries, Thor has been a Norse hero worshipped as a god, a protector of the Nine Realms, and eventually, the true king of Asgard. Like his father Odin, Thor's life is truly limitless. The furthest into the future we've seen of Thor's life is well past the end of the Earth and most of the galaxy itself. Old King Thor still guards over Midgard and protects the remnants of the realms from threats like Galactus, Gore the God Butcher, and of course, Loki. No matter where Thor goes or how far into the future he lives, Thor can never get away from Loki. The most recent immortal to become a proper anime legend is none other than the main antagonist of Demon Slayer, Lord Muzan. He has spent his long lifespan siring legions of demons across Japan, hoping that they will overcome his only weakness so that he can consume them and truly become perfect. Instead, he's inspired a group of demon-slaying samurai warriors who utilize special breathing techniques that give them enhanced powers. While most of these demon slayers are nowhere near as powerful as Muzan, I have a feeling that underestimating them will cause his immortality to become mortality real fast. As incredible as his demon powers are, they pale in comparison to his greatest strength. That sense of style he's been cultivating over the decades. Just because you're the ultimate evil in the world doesn't mean you can't look fly doing it. While the main character from Invincible has an ironic name considering how he gets beaten to a bloody pulp in every other episode, the superhero known as the Immortal definitely lives up to that title. While it seemed like he would be a one-off character like the other original members of the Guardians of the Globe, the Immortal was resurrected with a flashback that revealed his history. Like DC's Vandal Savage, who he's clearly based on, the Immortal was a caveman who received eternal life and lived through all of human history. Where Savage was, well, kind of a savage, the Immortal spent his life having heroic adventures. This ranged from being a knight, one of the first superheroes, and most notably, President of the United States and famed vampire hunter Abraham Lincoln. Somehow I doubt Daniel Day-Lewis discovered all that in his research. There's probably no superhero more infamous for his ever-present bad mood than Wolverine. He is universally gruff, short-tempered, and ready to throw down with anyone who so much as looks at him the wrong way. While some of this is just his natural personality, a lot of this has to do with the fact that Wolverine has lived since the 1800s and has lived through more pain than any of us can imagine. While many stories have tried to cover Wolverine's long life, the one that surprisingly does the best job is the opening credits to the otherwise panned X-Men Origins Wolverine. This shows Logan suffering through basically every war North America has seen since top hats were a regular fashion device. Wolverine lives every day of his life with the knowledge that he will survive longer than every single friend or loved one he's ever made. Well, except for Deadpool. Unfortunately, he'll always have Deadpool. That really explains why he's such a jerk. As one of the new gods, Darkseid is blessed with infinite longevity. The problem with that is, if you were going to find the single worst person in all of fiction to make an immortal, it would probably be Darkseid. He spent the opening years of his insanely long life creating the planet Apocalypse in his image, which is about as horrifying a place as you can imagine. It makes Mordor seem like a vacation hotspot. His biggest goals for the rest of his life are destroying the new gods, defeating Superman plus the Justice League, and of course gaining control of the anti-life equation. This would basically make everyone in existence under Darkseid's control, so the entire galaxy would just become Darkseid's personal game of The Sims. Galactus isn't only an ancient being in the Marvel Universe, he's actually older than the universe itself. Originally, he was a man named Gowan who survived the 6th incarnation of the multiverse only to be turned into the incredibly powerful Galactus. He's one of Marvel's most powerful characters, wielding the power cosmic and subsisting on a diet of full planets. That being said, Galactus seems like he has a pretty terrible life. He spends pretty much all of his existence consuming entire civilizations with only his heralds as company. His misery has gone on for literally the entire span of existence itself and will likely continue into the 7th multiverse. So yeah, immortality and ultimate cosmic power are not necessarily blessings. Eternity can be pretty boring. That's the impression you get from watching Death Note anyway. The Shinigami known as Ryuk dropped his notebook that would slay anyone whose name was written into it into the mortal realm. From the moment Light picked it up and immediately declared himself a god, Ryuk kicked back and enjoyed the show. He seemed to get as much entertainment from the battle of wits between Light and L as the audience did, while eating apples by the bushel. Evidently, Shinigami don't get Netflix. Wonder Woman's origin is an interesting one in comic history. For most of her time in DC, Diana has been an Amazon crafted out of clay by her mother and brought to life by the gods. The New 52 threw this classic origin out the window and established that Diana was actually the daughter of Zeus. This means she's a half-Amazonian demigod with 2 doses of immortal blood. In the comics, she left Themyscira right as Superman and Batman were starting their careers. The movies have more fun with her immortality by depicting her as a hero who prefers to hide herself since World War I. We'll see if Wonder Woman 3 will show us what becomes of Diana in the far future when all her new friends have passed. Doctor Who has been spinning time-traveling adventures of the Doctor in TV, comics, books, and audio dramas since the 1960s. This gives the character a shocking amount of stories to go through, but it still just scratches the surface. The Doctor has been alive for over 1,000 years, which equals at least 950 or so seasons we've all missed. The latest plot twist makes this even crazier. After the Timeless Child storyline, it was revealed that the Doctor has infinite regenerations and has been alive much longer than they thought, so there will literally never be a day when the TARDIS isn't flying through time to save the galaxy, but mostly just Great Britain. Okay, so the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles may not technically be immortal, but their popularity definitely is. I mean, is there a single other franchise that has gone through so many generations of comics, cartoons, and movies while still holding the exact same level of popularity with kids and a good deal of adults too? I know, the Power Rangers, Transformers, and Joes of the GI variety have nothing on that deep TMNT love. As far as the Turtles themselves go, they do live for a surprisingly long time. They can live upwards of 100 years thanks to the ooze. Some fans have even calculated Splinter's ooze enhanced aging and used that for a base to determine the Turtles could live up to something like 800 years. If you're a superhero, the most popular powers are flight, super strength, and regeneration. So one of Valiant's most popular heroes, Bloodshot, was a perfect fit alongside the likes of Deadpool and Wolverine with his healing powers. He pretty much uses his immortality to keep doing the mercenary work he's so suited for. He does occasionally participate in giant Valiant crossovers like the Harbinger Wars, Unity, and the Valiant, but Bloodshot is largely a guy who prefers his own company. It's too bad that this Unstoppable Assassins big movie didn't launch a Valiant cinematic universe which could have introduced the immortal Eternal Warrior. If Vin Diesel wasn't enough to launch it, I don't think this one's in the cards. Perhaps no character in all of anime serves as a more cautionary tale against being an immortal than Hidan from Naruto Shippuden. Hidan was a zealot whose rituals made him an undying evil shinobi. He joined Akatsuki and was one of their more successful members for a while. Then he messed up and took out the wrong ninja's master. The second he took out Asuma, you just knew he was gonna go down hard. Asuma's brilliant strategist pupil Shikamaru took down Hidan with his shadow manipulating jutsu. This ended with Shikamaru blowing Hidan to pieces and then burying those pieces to survive forever in agony, with strict orders for no one to ever dig him up. Eternity really didn't end well for him. Today, Image Comics has a reputation that stands toe-to-toe with the likes of Marvel and DC. A lot of that is due to the popularity of Todd McFarlane's Spawn. Though the character technically lost his life in his first appearance, the Spawn persona is an endless anti-hero who will be dispensing brutal justice forever. After he was returned to Earth, Spawn found himself in a suit that granted him supernatural powers but few memories of who he was. Since then, he has become a superhero, the Lord of Hell, and has even taken on some of the most powerful beings in the universe. So yeah, he's not going anywhere for a long time. Now that the long in development film is rumored to be in development again, hopefully we'll see him decimating evil on the big screen soon. As far as immortal villains go, is there one more famous than Dracula? The most recent take on the character in the Netflix anime Castlevania may have been the most hardcore version we've ever seen. After his wife gets taken out by an angry mob, Dracula decides to wipe all of humanity off the face of the earth. He summons legions of monsters, humans, and vampires to lay waste to everything in sight. In the end, our trio of heroes ends up defeating him once and for all, but only because Dracula gives up the fight. He sees himself about to destroy his own son and allows Alucard to finish him off. It's a good thing too, because I'm pretty sure that Dracula's horde was going to reign over Earth for all eternity and no one could stop them. You've got to admit, that's a pretty ambitious immortal evil plan. As awesome as all these stories are, just once I'd like to see an immortal who's just like living their best life at 40,000 years of age. That's so much time to read, travel, and most importantly, watch everything Netflix has to offer. I am never going to have enough time for Peaky Blinders.